Hey, what's up, guys? My name's JC. I am Wrong and Strong, and today we got an episode for you. We're going to talk about a couple of things, but the main thing is consistency. And where I learned it, you already know what time it is. If you're part of my family, you know what's up. Súbanse a la suburban, because we're about to take a ride. Consistency. It didn't start for me out here. It started for me when I was locked up. In prison, I learned how to control my time, even though it's control for you, but it taught me. I learned to control my movement even when I didn't control my environment, making my bed, working out, reading, just picking small habits. And there, I mean, it's life or death because that's just what it is in there. But it taught me. That's where my discipline was born, for me. It had to be life or death, I guess. Now, when I say walk the yard with me, I'm not just talking about the people that have done time. I'm talking to like everyone trying to build structure in the world just like full of distractions with social media, everything. You don't need a cell phone to get serious about your life. You just need consistency. You could say that I'm out here still living like I'm doing time, waking up at the same time, pretty much control movement, every hour accounted for. But that's what I know that's what I knew I had to do for me to be able to stay like consistent. I always tell people start small and just stay consistent because if you start to learn small habits, you start to learn to control your day, and once you control your day, that's true freedom out here, man. Um, you go from an environment where they're kind of telling you what to do, right? No, they're not kind of. They're telling you what to do every hour, whether you have to go to Chaho, whether you have to be in your cell, whether you have to be even sometimes in the chapel. You're forced to move some places sometimes. But I never sat there and said, what prison took from me. I've always thought what prison taught me and the lessons that it taught me. I mean, even doing my laundry today, it's something that I learned in prison. Um, you can't put a price on a lot of the things I guess you could that you learn when you make bad decisions. Like they say that you learn more on a bad day than you do on a good day. And that's what I kind of took out of like the 17 years that I did in prison. Like I wanted to learn because I wasn't taught to brush my teeth at home. I wasn't taught to make my bed at home. I wasn't taught a lot of those things, I make my bed now before I leave. It's like one of the first things I do. If my wife is staying in bed, then I make it later. But these are all habits that I picked up in prison: laundry, cleaning, washing dishes, and I just carried a lot of that stuff with me out here, and that's what I teach a lot of the guys on my course is that all the stuff that makes you a super badass in prison are the same things that are going to make you a badass out here. You just have to stay consistent with the way that you were acting in there and doing. You have to do the same thing out here because you could dream all day, but if you don't have a set plan to make that dream come true, then it's really just always going to stay a dream. Um, I I believe that you should say things different. Instead of saying I'm gonna write a book one day, you say I'm gonna write for 5 minutes every day. And one of the biggest things I've learned is that when you start off small, it's hard to mess up because it's small. You build consistency, and you start to trust yourself. You build a something invisible with yourself that starts to build you up. You like those small wins start to turn into big ones, and you start to trust yourself. You start to build a bond with yourself that you could get this done, and that's how it starts. You know, um, Spiritually, physically, mentally, everything takes training. And training is what? Consistency and repetition. Repetition is what's gonna set the standard. What's gonna pretty much you're gonna do the thing over and over again until you get almost not perfect because perfection. We're not looking for perfection. we're, we're looking for that consistency to get better and repeat. Uh, when I first started powerlifting, um, we would bench press, deadlift, and squat, and that was it. Like we there was repetition, repetition, a lot of weight, a lot of 1, 2 reps, and that was it. It was a little boring. I'm not gonna lie, but that repetition and that consistency got me to break the state record. It got me to win some of those first place medals in competitions. And it was boring. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. It was boring, but in my life, excitement has got me into trouble. In my life, having a fun outlet has got me jail time. So like I had to learn to pretty much recreate myself while I was in prison. Um, Build something completely different of what I thought I was. And it hasn't been hard, out here um dealing with the mother of my children, family, stuff like that. Some of the stuff that I never dealt with in the past because I ran from anything that had to do with like family conflict or stuff like that. Like even learning to do that has been a consistent battle with me because no matter how I'm feeling, I have to, try and speak to my daughters even when they don't want to. Um my kids are very upset sometimes at me because I spent most of my life incarcerated and not in their lives. But even that, being consistent of calling even when they don't answer, has changed things. They see that I might not have it together, but I do care. I do love them. Um, but it's like I teach all the guys that I work with, the women, the kids. It's those small little training sessions that are going to get you far. And you're going to have bad days. There're going to be days that you miss, and that's okay because it's not perfection. It's not. It's how fast you get back up again. Like that's really what it is because you're going to fall. Everybody does. Everybody falls. Just be quick to fall fast. That's what I say because I'm going to be quick to get back up again. And I think that's been also one of the biggest gifts, superpowers that I've had my whole life is that I was so hard headed that I never gave up. Like I kept getting up. I kept going to prison. I kept getting out. I kept trying to change. I kept going to detox. I kept going to rehab centers. I kept going to gang programs. I kept going to, I even went to the Phoenix College and took some classes. And I was hungry to see who I could be. You know, I was hungry for change. I was hungry for healing. I was hungry for a lot of different things that honestly I didn't believe they were tangible. I'm gonna tell you the truth because I wasn't raised in an environment, and I grew up in an environment that just didn't. I didn't see that happening. I saw myself kind of being the same for the rest of my life. An alcoholic, a womanizer, a gangster. I guess all the qualities that I had as I grew up. You know, what I mean, everything that I how I grew up, my environment. But I didn't see myself becoming this man that I've become now. Like a good man. I'm not perfect, but I'm a good person. I have morals now. I try to think before I open my mouth, but that kind of backfires on me sometimes. But I've changed a lot, a lot. I've matured a lot. My emotions, everything, my control issues, my jealous, everything has matured a lot. But it's been because of the consistency of working on myself, uh, working with others, helping others. It's been a wild little trip becoming a teacher, becoming a coach, becoming but it shouldn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise me because of how I grew up, what I've been through, the things that I've done, things that I've been part of. It's almost like I've been in training my whole life for this moment right here. Yesterday, no, day before yesterday was Thursday. I spoke at the Winslow prison, and I felt good. Like I felt like a professional, motivational public speaker. That's how I felt. My confidence level was like through the roof, and I uh, I do know that I need to start preparing more. Like I need, if I'm gonna use that tool, that knife, that gun, whatever you want to call it, I need to train more. I need to practice more. You can't get better if you don't practice. And public speaking has been one of my go tos in this past year on getting better. So like I've been practicing in front of the camera. I've been practicing, recording myself. Going to speak. I've been saying yes to like a lot of events so I could practice. Um, but it's been that consistency that's been making me better, even on different topics. Uh, and this is all the stuff that I teach people that I learned in prison, man. Even my schedule. I put it in different colors because I get up at 3 in the morning, 2:45, 3 in the morning. I sit down. I usually read or listen to something. Get a little bit of my social media done, do some push-ups, and then get ready to come into the studio. But everything is like, red, green. Every hour is counted for. The whole schedule, even when I get home. Because if I don't tell myself to turn off, then I'll keep going. I'll keep working on my laptop. I'll keep doing this, especially right now that I'm building these programs and doing all this stuff. Um, I'm getting ready to launch my correctional officer resilient program, and I already have a couple correctional officers, on the waiting list to start the program. Putting that coaching program together, I'm putting the Wonder Woman coaching program together that Bethany is gonna lead. Uh, the youth one, a lot. But it's the consistency of that schedule that keeps me going on all that. Even my working on my books that I'm writing, How to Diet Like a Mexican, Walking the Dog. I I stay consistent on everything from hour to hour. Now that we have the student coming in and helping and working with us, I have a set schedule with him where we're coming in at 6, recording, editing all the way through the day to create more content. Now that I have some help, and he gets the hands-on experience. Even that's on schedule. It's marked off from 6 to 8, and then he edits from 8 to whatever time he's here. Um, that's on a schedule. When I got up this morning, I did all the stuff that I had to do. I look over at the clock; it was 5:30, and I have that travel time here, 5:30 to 6. I have a little car on my schedule that's telling me that's drive time to get here, and depending on how I'm feeling, you know, um, I'm very, very aware of my moods, my triggers, everything. How I'm feeling. It depends on what I put into myself, like what I'm listening to, whether it's something motivational, something spiritual, or just music because I'm in a really happy mood. Um, it's all consistency. It's all discipline, and people don't realize is that you don't need this grandmaster plan. You just need a schedule, and then the consistency builds because you're not trying to do so much. Like I tell people when you meditate, sit there for 5 minutes. Start off with 5 minutes. Put the timer on because you're not gonna guess what 5 minutes is. Put the timer on and sit down and give yourself 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and then start to build off of that. 30 days. Then in the next 30 days, do 10 minutes. And that's how I start a lot of people on my fitness coaching programs. The first 30 days is a couple of push-ups, a couple of lunges, a couple of squats, a couple of runs here and there. It's nothing crazy. It's basic consistency to build a trust factor with yourself, so that way you could build discipline and get better and become that person that you want to become. Because lots of the times people think that we have to love the things that we're doing in order to become the person that we want to become, and it's not like that. It's not. You're not gonna like a lot of the stuff that you're doing, but you have to realize that you're doing that stuff to become the person that you want to become. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I wanted to use my story to motivate others. So I had to be consistent in fixing my vocabulary, how I spoke, what words truly meant. I couldn't speak the way that I spoke my whole life. Why? Because there was only like three words: F, S, all bad, all bad. So like I had to be consistent in training myself, teaching myself small little stuff, even learning one vocabulary word a day, pondering, consistency. All these words, I didn't use these words before, but it's been that consistent, wanting to get better because I desire to be someone else now. And that's all it is, guys. At the end of the day, it's those small little wins that are gonna produce the big ones, and you're gonna build that trust with yourself, and you're gonna go from wrong to strong. Hey, if you're ready for that change, don't wait. Sign up for my coaching program. Let's get to work. I'll walk the yard with you, and you'll see that you'll be able to build that consistency, that discipline, and build whatever it is that you're building. Because a dream is only a dream until you do something about it. My name's JC. I am Wrong to Strong. I'll check you guys out on the rebound.